Hi, my name is Mark Polt, and I'm a real estate investor in the greater Charlotte, North Carolina area, what you would call a no frills, no thrills real estate investor. If you're looking for someone with a really fancy office or a really shiny car in the background, or someone who's trying to sell you a $19.95 a month subscription to their newsletter, I ain't that guy. But if I had a newsletter, it'd be worth twice as much. So, what I want to share is my thoughts on balancing your checkbook. On June 24th of 1992, I shipped off to basic training in the Army at Fort Leonard Wood. Used to call it Fort Leaning Rest, Missouri. It's a day I'll never, ever, ever forget in my life. And I will never forget the day that I met my drill sergeants at Fort Leonard Wood, which is about 4 or 5 days later. And some rude awakenings happened. Back then, I was a private E1. I think I was making under $700 a month take home pay. I might have been making under $700 a month before take home pay. So, but shortly after that, I got promoted to E2. I was probably making about $700 a month, maybe 720. And I used to balance my checkbook back then. We had ATM cards, I think. I don't. They weren't. Well, yeah, we definitely had ATM cards, but most people, you couldn't use them like a debit card today. And so when you're living off of $700 a month, and granted, you don't have to worry about room and board. You tend to you tend to need to know exactly how much is in your bank account at any one time. We wrote checks back then, especially on base, and you didn't want to check to bounce. It'd be very, very bad. Because when a check would bounce, whoever you wrote that check to, that they would end up contacting your company commander, and that is something you definitely do not want to happen. So even when I got done with that, I continued to balance my checkbook for many, many years until I started making about $40 an hour. At $40 an hour, I stopped balancing my checkbook, and that was about 20 years ago, and I haven't balanced it since. So you may be a person who believes in balancing your checkbook. Um, there's very many penny pinching type people. There's a lot of savers, Dave Ramsey type people, maybe even there's some other Dave Ramsey-esque people out there. I can't even remember their name. Lori Orman or something along that line. Those people want you to balance your checkbook. They want you to know where every penny is going. Dave Ramsey even has a website called Every Penny. I believe that's what it's called, where you can track everything and know where your money's going and how it's spent. And there's something to be said for that. Irresponsible people and people without a financial education or financial responsibility, need to do this. They need to know where their money is. And I was just picking up a stove in a relatively poor area. You know, these a lot of poor people need to know how much money do I have for dope at the end of the month. And always surprises me, poor people and dope. Seems like every time I go into a lower neighborhood, all I smell is weed everywhere. And just it's beside me on that one. Don't don't get me wrong, I've smoked some weed in my time, but never never made it part of my life or my lifestyle. So what kind of I look back at that life, that life of lack where, I didn't have enough. I always had too much month at the end of the money. And, who wants to live that kind of lifestyle? I haven't balanced a checkbook, and that doesn't mean I don't do financial planning, and that doesn't mean I don't, figure out how to pay off debts and pay more towards my payments and stuff. It just means that I have everything structured mostly to automatically draw out of my bank account so that at certain periods of time in the month, I know this is my extra money. And today's online banking is a lot different. Back then, I had to use a telephone, and I had a little card, and I would have to, I actually memorized, how to get my balance, and it was just a series of hashtags and stars, and to get through menu options and stuff like that. But we didn't have the internet back then, certainly not the way it is now, and online banking just really wasn't a thing. And honestly, until about 10 years ago, online banking wasn't a thing at all. Those banks didn't have a real online presence. So let me ask you this: which one would you rather live? Would you rather live a lifestyle like mine, where, you know, I don't really have to worry about what I spend? My wife and I put everything on the Amex. We get massive points from it. I mean, we vacation for free all the time. Yeah, we pay some interest here and there. In the end, I don't really care. Uh, we've actually started using our American Express for a business with the same point systems that Starwood prefer Gold. That's until we get our Amex Black invitation, which, I'm sure we will get without a problem. And you know, I don't really worry about money. We have enough money to buy whatever we want. We certainly have enough money to service our debt. That doesn't mean we live an extravagant lifestyle, but we certainly live better than others. And the thought of pulling out one of these things, a checkbook with a register in it on a weekly basis, and going through and figuring out, has this check cleared? How much money do I have? Is this right? Where did it go? Classifying it just makes my skin crawl. That is not the life I want to live. I want to live a life of abundance. I want to live a life where money is not will not be a factor, at least not a major factor in any decision that I make. If I want to spend $5,000 flying first class, I'm going to spend $5,000 flying first class. And I'm building a lifestyle such that, I'm going to be able to do that. I mean, I could do it now. We have, we're in a debt servicing phase, and that's going to be prior to, once the debt gets a little bit more under control, and then we're going to go into a retirement phase. So, in conclusion, what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? Do you want to live one where you have to track every penny and, you know, figure out where all your money is going? Or do you want to live a lifestyle where you're worried about cash flow? How much cash do I have coming in each month? And how can I finance my next big purchase? So, for example, my wife wants a Louis Vuitton bag. I told her, go out and get a property that finances your Louis Vuitton bags, and you can have as many as you want, as long as they fit within whatever cash flows from that. I think that's pretty cool. I'll even manage the whole thing. She just has to go out and find it. So, she's working on that. Right now, we're financing her retirement, and we're pretty close. I think we only need two more properties, and my wife will be able to retire. Anyways, I hope you go out there and live the "you won't stop me" lifestyle. I can tell you this: you will not stop me. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what three-letter agency you're with. I don't care. You're not going to stop me from reaching financial freedom. Anyways, I wish you success.